We're going to talk a little bit about assemblies in Highlands now. Assemblies are packages of items that you could use for something, say a bathroom or a hotel room or a hookup for equipment, or maybe it's something that you're going to be building in your shop and you want to package those items all together. There's many uses for assemblies and they're very powerful. So let's go to takeoff and we'll build an assembly and show you how easy it is. So here's our takeoff screen. On our takeoff screen, if I want to build a new assembly, all I've got to do is go up here to go subassembly new and give it a name, and I'm going to call this hotel room A. If I can type hotel room A. And I'm only going to have it on this bid because hotel room A is, it's specific to this. Now when I build an assembly, what it does is it creates another screen up here that's very similar to your takeoff screen. It drops some of the scope fields because when I use this hotel room, I'm going to use it on the first floor, second floor, third floor, and that scope when I use it is what the scope's going to stretch through to apply to these items. The specification, if I leave it blank, that'll be the specification for the main takeoff as well. But I'm going to set this up here as a domestic water assembly because that's what I'm using. So in this hotel room, there might be a bunch of pipe. I'm just going to use some 1-inch pipe. And I'm going to go crazy so I can show you something later, the benefit of assemblies. And I'm going to put 100 feet of it in there. And I'm going to put in a 90-degree elbow, and I'm going to put in 100 of those too. And then I'm going to go put in a T, and I'm going to put in 100 of those too. So this assembly, this little package of items, if it was a real hotel room, I'd be going through it and I could be putting in some sanitary and some different pipe and maybe some heating stuff even, so that I'd have everything I needed to build that hotel room. Then I could reuse this assembly as many times as I wanted. So let's go ahead and close this. And off screen here, save changes, yes. And we're back over here. Now if I look down at my assemblies tab, that assembly's there. So if I want to use that, I'm on the first floor. So I might come through here and I might say, alright, on the first floor I've got 10 of this particular hotel room set up. And on the second floor I have another 10 of them. And I could go through the hotel and, maybe I've got a giant 30-story hotel. I don't know. Anyway, so let's go close out of here and show you what we get out of all that stuff. And we'll go to the report control panel, recalculate. And bring it over here. And now if we take a look here, I kind of know in that job the only domestic cold water we use is that assembly, so I can use that tag to pull out just those items. No warnings, always a good thing. So we've used that 100 feet of pipe in that assembly, and we had 20 of those hotel rooms, so we have 2,000 feet of pipe. It's a lot of pipe. We've got a lot of couplings, hangers. We've got our fittings. So, for those 40 hotel rooms, we're looking at a pretty high price worth of pipe. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But let's close out of here, and we'll go back to take off again. And you can see some of the benefits of these assemblies beyond just being fast to take off and encapsulate items. If I go to hotel room A now, I'm going to pop in here, and I'm going to go get that over here. I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to say, oh, my gosh, I made a mistake there. That was supposed to be 12 feet of pipe. And I've only got 4 elbows. And I've got 2 T's. Not only that, I didn't even put in any fixtures or anything. So let's go off to our MISC items there. And let's see, we've got under our plumbing. Let's grab some carriers. And there, let's just grab a sink carrier for right now. It's a high price sink carrier. Anyhow, we'll grab that in there. And we'll grab one of those. Now our hotel room is starting to look a little more reasonable. And I could go put in more items. I could do whatever I want. So now let's close out of here. Save those changes. Now this kind of illustrates the benefit of this being an assembly. That hotel room A, remember I said I could use that as many times as I wanted on every floor or whatever I want. What I've just done is I've gone and fixed that for all of those. That's why bringing that in as a package is the way to do it, the way that works best. As opposed to, there are some systems out there that just take all those items and bring them all and dump them in your takeoff, which would make a really big takeoff and be very hard to fix or anything else. So let's go ahead and close out of here. And let's run to our report control panel. Recalculate again. And if we go to, we'll use our spec again to separate that out. If we go to our detailed price and labor report, now we're seeing a little more what we'd like to see at our amount of pipe and our fittings. And things are going to get a little bit more reasonable. But now let's look at something else in here. Let's go to our quote and price, store prices here. And let's take a look at our plumbing. Now I've already been in here, so I set the quoted on that as $200. Well, I've got another quote now, a better quote. And it turns out that that's going to be, $350 or whatever it is. So I fill that in and I save it. Now if I go down into my detailed price and labor report, that's going to be reflected in here. So we have all our items in here. There it is right there. So it's $300 instead of $200. And we have 20 of them, so it does add up. So that's one benefit of assemblies. One of the big uses of assemblies. Another use of an assembly might work better with a variable type item. So let's say I have some sort of standard hookup that works for a few different sizes of things. So let's go into here and let's make another new assembly. And I'm going to just call this, I don't know, we'll call it heater hookup A. And it's going to be in this job. Now heater hookup A, it may be something that have variable sizing. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say I've got pipe. And instead of putting a dimension in there, I'm going to put D1. I'm going to put in my quantity and say we've got 3 feet of pipe there. And then I'm going to put in a 90-degree elbow. I'm going to make that D1 too. And I've got one of those there. And I could pull in all kinds of items, whatever I want. For demonstration purposes, this is really all we need. So that D1 there, what that's telling us is when we use this in our takeoff, we're going to specify what the dimension is. It goes there. So if we close out of here, save our changes. Again, sometimes the save message screen, save changes messages on the other screen. So here, if I go down to my assemblies, I hit takeoff A, I could have a 1-inch version, I could have a 2-inch version, and I could have a 4-inch version. And what it's going to do is it's going to substitute wherever those D1s are, this is going to substitute in there. So you don't have to make 1,000 assemblies for 1,000 sizes. You can reuse your assemblies. You can also nest them. So hotel room A could have a heater hookup A used from inside of it. So let's close this again. Save our takeoff changes. And let's run over to our report control panel. And we'll recalculate. Again, recalculating is very fast. And that's all you have to do most of the time to pull in everything you want. So in here now, all those items are going to be reflected in here. And, we've got our 1-inch and our 2-inch, our 4-inch pipe, 4-inch elbows, 4-inch everything. So everything comes through and it figures out, based on those dimensions, it's got it all figured out for you. Now let's take it one thing further in assemblies. And all those assemblies can be in a master library. And once they're in a master library, you can pull them over on any job. So if I go over here and I go subassembly, move master assembly template, I've got all these various things I can select and pull over here. When I pull them over, now it's on this tab, and I can take that off, and I can look at it. What is that? What is that lab going to look like? So our lab looks a lot like that. So let's go ahead and close that out of there, and we'll take off one of those. So I can have some standard laboratories set up. While on this job it might be a little different from other jobs, sometimes for estimating or budget purposes, that's all it needs. Sometimes you may want to go and adjust it for this job. Because we moved it from the master to the job in order to use it, we can go in here and make adjustments, and we're just making the adjustments for this job. I can also attach PDFs and other files to that assembly, so I can go and look and see what the pictures were and what the assumptions were on that assembly to start with. So now again, all we do is we go back here, save our takeoff changes, go to our report control panel, recalculate, and we'll have brought them all in. We'll go over here, and whatever we needed was in here. Whatever we had estimated. And again, all those items, everything that was brought in from the takeoff, it's all in here. So I can go quote it, I can look at it, I can send those out, do whatever I need to do with those. So one last place to go look at assemblies is in our job list. In our job list, we give you access to master assemblies. Now when we group them together in a set, we call it a template set. And we can move things between sets, we can edit those sets, we can edit a master assembly template right in those sets. So here, if there's something we want to change for everybody, we pull right into that lab, and what it's going to do is it's going to pull up the takeoff screen again, and it's going to let us edit it, change sizes, do whatever we want to do with it. So we can build master assemblies for anything. So that kind of covers assemblies and shows some of what they can do. But because they're variable and because they can be used so many ways, there really are a lot of options of how you can take advantage of that. And it'll save you time, it'll make things more predictable for your estimates, and it'll make it more editable and changeable and more able to respond to unique situations.